Margot Neely, and I'm the mom of Maddie Soleil, Natasha, Lelania, and Julianne Harvey. And they've all attended Exogamie Tremblay.
My name's Dinah Lang, and I have two children that attended Emily Tremblay, Nadine, and Maya Poirier. Well, my kids are French, and their father's French, Acadian French, and I wanted them to know that side of their culture, and yeah, I wanted them to speak French and be able to go back to New Brunswick and speak French with their relatives there and just be who they are.
And for me it was the same. I married somebody who was French from Quebec, and it was really important that the kids be connected to their relatives in the East, and that they be able to speak the language, but also that they have that identity, that they are part French. I stopped trying. I don't do languages very well, but I did take French at school. I took French language classes. I worked in France and Switzerland. Like, I did try to use my French, but I speak like from a book, and my kids always laughed at me, and so I realized, I just gave up on it.
Well, I was never quite there. I did 1 year of French in high school back in Ontario, and I got through all the activities at Emily Tremblay with bien and oui. I felt left out, but that was my own perception of just, I don't know if I'd ever really been in a minority.
And for me it too is about, I'm truly a different person. When I walk into that school, you are seeing a different side of Margot than what you would see if you walked into Margot in her work environment, right? And it was about becoming quiet. Like, I became very conscious that I didn't have, not that I didn't have a voice, but that I didn't have the language, and so I had to be more observant and just watching and and getting the feel of what was going on, or catching the odd word, but not totally getting the whole big picture, right? And there would be all this activity and people exchanging, and you would just be there, and sometimes it just felt like you might be a fly on the wall. I was very present, I would say, at most activities at the school, mainly because I wanted my kids to always be there and to be participating, but I would always be in the back. And
luckily, she was very good at school and always seemed to be able to get through her homework with not a lot of help, in fact zero help from me, and that's how she went. Years went by. I think once I relaxed about not being French and not being, feeling kind of like an unfit mother in a way, because I think that always comes back, that, I should learn French because they offered the lessons and everything, but you've got two young kids and you're on your own, and I live out of town and I want to get home and have dinner, and I'm ready for bed at 8 to begin with.
But I think that's why I've seen my role as a coach, and believing that education is important, and that French education in terms of their identity. And certainly when I look at my older girls, they call themselves Yukone Francophones, right? They're very proud of that. Wherever they travel in the world, they see that as who they are. They didn't just take French, right? It's who they are. And I think they wouldn't have had that same expression of identity if that wasn't cultivated at home as well. It was important. It was important.
I didn't participate in anything. In school activities. I went to all the dinners and the theater and those sorts of things. But I wasn't a participant when they needed volunteers to go on a school trip or anything, because the minute I came into the classroom I was a disruption, because all the kids knew that I didn't speak French, and it was almost like they wanted to speak English because they knew they weren't allowed to. So, oh, oh, she's here, she doesn't speak French, we're going to speak English. And just because they could, you know. And if everybody started speaking English because I was on a school trip, then it kind of does defeat the purpose. But nonetheless, there was a lot of things that I would have liked to participate in and didn't.
Yeah, it might be hard sometimes and it might be lonely sometimes, but is it important to you? And if it is, then you need to keep going with it.
Mm-hmm.